Aspiration and dedication. Now, I need to tell you about one very important part of meditation practice that you should know about. In fact, most Tibetans would say this is the most important point of all. So please take this in. The Tibetans tell us that it's most important to dedicate any merit that comes out of our daily practice, no matter how small that might be. Now, I didn't do this in the beginning because I could not imagine any good merit whatsoever was coming out of my kind of dismal practice. For me, it was slow going. But Tibetans feel otherwise. They assure me that there is merit in any practice, just making an effort, if only because of the good intent, if not for the actual results. And doing this is easy. At the end of any meditation practice period, even if it's a minute, we simply say a little dedication. Call it a prayer if you like, to the effect that, and now I quote, this is, kind of a dedication. May any merit of this practice, however small, be dedicated so that all sentient beings may find true happiness and awareness. End quote. Now this short wish, or dedication, is said to, like the proverbial acorn, grow over time into an enormous amount of merit. In a similar way, saying a brief aspiration to the same effect when we begin our meditation practice is also considered beneficial and very important to do. In this case, we'd say something like this: may what I am about to do benefit all sentient beings and bring them happiness and awareness such as the Buddha found. End quote. So something like that. And if you scour the books on Tibetan meditation, there is no single factor that the High Lamas feel is as important as making aspiration and dedication prayers. To them, these prayers are the difference between advancing in awareness and just sitting there spinning our wheels. Try it out. Now, I happen to be a computer programmer, and so in my life I frequently have spent my days glued to a computer monitor in like real concentration. So I thought I would try this dedication thing, just not on the cushion, but just in my life. And this is what I did, and it was really effective. Every time in my daily work, when I would be interrupted, the phone would ring, a car would backfire down the block, or something, or someone would interrupt my work, instead of being irritated by the interruption, I would then do the following. Since I was already startled and fully out of my concentration, this was a natural gap in time to make a dedication. I would then dedicate any merit that I had accrued from my concentrated work up to that point, that moment. I would dedicate it to all sentient beings, and so on, as described above. I would make this short prayer, and then gently let my mind rest in the gap, the emptiness, just the gap of time that was created by the interruption. Then I would make an equal short aspiration for the work I was about to do, and then I'd get back to work. And the next time I was interrupted, I would do the same thing again, and this went on all day. I would do this perhaps hundreds of times throughout the day, and I did this for almost 3 years. Sounds like a crazy thing, I know, but it made a huge difference. difference for me, it built a habit, and it paved the way for me to do more practice aside from the time I would have in my day of just going and sitting on a cushion, a traditional practice. Which always I never did. I mean, I go and sit there, but if I could get out of it, I would, because it was kind of boring, and my day was always so busy. I always had a good excuse to put meditating off until tomorrow. But doing these aspirations and dedications while I was working was a kind of practice I could do, and it was a key for my getting, at last, some actual results. Now we're going to talk about an important concept that the Tibetan Buddhists call the two accumulations. And the two accumulations are merit and awareness. And they work together. They're a tag team. And they're like really worth understanding. I mean, if you get this concept working in your life, it will change your life. It did mine. So let's just say we're practicing meditation in order to develop greater awareness. I mean, that's what the Sanskrit word Buddha itself means, to awaken. And it could be translated to something like the one who has awakened, or the one who is aware. That's the Buddha. Now, merit refers to what the Buddhists call skillful means. Simply skillful action. More skillful action than not. And the two words, merit and awareness, work together in a recursive manner, like an infinite loop or an infinite catch-22. And here is how I understand that works. And try it on. When we actually learn to meditate and begin to develop a little more awareness than we now have, that increase of awareness allows us to see just somewhat more clearly how we act in the world. In that greater awareness, we can then act more skillfully or more meritoriously. And the merit of our skillful action itself generates even greater awareness. That greater awareness allows us to see even more clearly yet. And in the clarity, the greater clarity, we can see to act even more skillfully yet, ad infinitum. This goes on forever. Awareness makes skillful actions easier, and more skillful actions yet generate even greater awareness, and so it goes. This is an incredible tool. And this merit and awareness, these two accumulations, each allow the other to reach higher levels. There's a snowball effect, and that effect has an exponential curve. It's not a linear curve or a linear line. It increases exponentially. Anyway, hopefully you get the idea. The more awareness that you have, the better that you can see to make even more skillful action. And the more skillful you are in dealing with things, with execution of any act, the more awareness and space around us it creates. So these two feed on each other recursively. Put it another way, the relative skillfulness of our every action in the present moment somehow generates something like, we could call it an aura or a space around us. What and how we behave creates a mood or space around us, which is the awareness that I've been mentioning here. And in that aura or awareness or expanded time, whatever you want to call it, we can see more clearly to make decisions and to take action than we could before. Therefore, we are able to make even better and better actions. And the skill of our execution, our skillful means, generates even greater clarity and awareness, and so on. each allowing the other to reach new levels. This is what I understand merit and awareness is all about.